One of the greatest temptations I'm facing right now is getting lazy with my style and saying I ain't appreciating mics down. I serve too small a market, I need a larger target. You know, a broader audience who's spending dollars on this. And as of right now, this temptation for making some crazy statements, complaining, but I know how pride sounds. I'm everybody's favorite, maybe one of the greatest, the peak of every playlist. You'd be a lame to hate this, but the truth is it's foolish to say this. So please bear with my foolishness, cause I've concluded it's stupid to fake it.
Welcome back, fellow fans, Fan Style Reviews. It's me and Jamel again today. Angel's still not back yet. I wanted to first start off this video with saying that we are doing these reviews a while after the movie has come out. So that way people have enough time to go see it, come and watch our videos without getting worried about spoilers. Speaking of spoilers though, there's going to be spoilers in this next video. We're going to be talking about everything, everywhere, all at once.
All at once.
Ah.
How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Yeah, Jamel's doing good.
Jamel is doing good.
Jamel's doing great, actually. As y'all can see, I'm lounging.
Yeah, he's lounging.
Angel not here, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and just take advantage of it and fully lounge in his spot. So, yeah. But, yeah, everything, everywhere.
We're all at once.
All at once was... I call that film phenomenal. It was groundbreaking, you know, from the surface. I mean, from the trailers, the concept of the multiverse, a mental multiverse, was good, but just seeing the trailer doesn't do you enough justice. This movie, I would say, is a must-see. So if you haven't saw this movie, what are you doing? Where have you been? Go see this movie.
I will say that this movie is not being featured, or not being shown in a lot of theaters, and I don't know why. Mm-hmm. Because this movie is definitely a must-see. Like, if you don't see this movie, do you even see movies? Like, they're only showing it in the select theaters around every state. And they're not even showing it in IMAX or Dolby. They're showing it in regular theaters.
Which is a shame.
It is a shame. I will say that I've seen this movie twice. That's how good it was. In theaters, that's how good it was. The multiverse is kind of a big topic right now just because of Doctor Strange coming out. But we see this as like a multiverse for an everyday person instead of like... Because there's no superheroes or anything. It's just like... the character is living her daily life and then all of a sudden gets sucked into a multiverse by a universe that needs help.
Yeah, basically, she's able to draw energy and power from the other universes. Let's just say, like what she did in the film. She draw, I guess, a mental energy from the universe where she knows martial arts.
Yeah.
And she can pull that energy to her universe, and then boom, she has martial art abilities.
Yeah, she was jumping from her universe to other universes mentally to gain their abilities. Mm-hmm. The character... I'm sorry, I'm going to look this real quick. I know I'm looking away. Jamie Lee Curtis's character was funny in this. Auditor.
The father, and the grandfather.
The Jamie Lee Curtis, the girl from Freaky Friday.
Oh yeah, her,
yeah.
Okay.
She's the auditor, and she has like a New York accent. It seems like.
But she goes in and out being her own person, and then being a multiverse villain.
Yeah, because she is in the other multiverses aligned with Jobu Tupaki, who is Evelyn's daughter, because in their Alphaverse, that's
what they call it.
That's what they call it. I'm not Alpha, but Evelyn and her husband Waymond pushed they're the ones that even invented the ability to jump from multiverse to multiverse, and they pushed her so hard that they cracked her brain. Which I would have loved to have seen a little bit more of her in the beginning being cracked and experiencing everything all at once. Because we see it at one point when Evelyn gets into the closet with Waymond and they're talking, and we could see the split, and she's like still sitting there listening to the auditor, but then in the other split she's actually in the closet talking to him. I wish there was more scenes like that where we see the split.
I thought that it was fine. Because the way they did it, they showed it almost to the people who have no knowledge about the multiverse that she's kind of crazy, and she's actually not. She's just, hey, she's able to go through multiverses and see what's going on. And then the husband who was coming in and out, basically the husband was jacking into the matrix of the multiverse, and he was going and he was talking to her through a different version of himself. That was great. Like I said, Matrix reference. I loved it.
Did you
like that?
Yeah, the originals were great. Yeah, I love it. It was good.
You know they came out with a fourth one.
They did?
They did.
I'll have to go see it sometime.
You don't have to see it.
It was very nice, and it was interesting. The part I liked the best was when, at the end of their conversation, when the Evelyn and Waymond that they're using to communicate in that universe get killed, and the daughter is like, "Oh, this isn't the right one," but she dials in like a radio, and she's like, and they're going through her lives. This is what I'm talking about, where I would love a little bit more of that. But she's going through listening to see if she can get any instance of where they're at. That was probably one of my favorite scenes.
The daughter too. So the daughter was the main villain of the film. Well, a version of her was the main villain, which I thought was good. Yeah, it was great. Because you had the original daughter had her own lifestyle. She had her girlfriend and things like that, and it kind of portrayed the whole relationship dynamic between the mother-daughter that they kind of had.
The mother-daughter and the older generation not wanting to reveal that she was in a relationship with the Becky to her father. I mean, it tackled that as well.
Yeah, I feel that it did tackle heritage and honor of who they are. It's an Asian family. So
well, yeah, especially when she was towards the end, she was like, "I don't care if you are proud of me." Basically, she said, "I am just doing my own thing. I'm doing what's right." Or how could you let the little thing break our relationship, like her leaving her country to come to America and stuff like that.
Also, too, did we get two versions of what had happened? So you got the version of her going with her boyfriend, be getting married, then they open in a laundromat, and then you got a version of them staying.
So there's millions of versions, and I will say that one of our friends said that he was going to buy the DVD or watch it again when it's released on streaming services, because at one point Evelyn is going through every single phase of her, and it was flashing different pictures, and he was like, I'm gonna frame for frame look at every single version of Evelyn that they have just to kind of see what they did. But we saw a version where as a kid she was running around with chopsticks, and the dad was like, don't run, and she falls on them and becomes blind. But after that, she learns that she could sing very beautifully and becomes a famous singer. Where you're talking is in one version she goes with him, and then that's where she winds up in the laundromat, and then is miserable for a while.
And then there's one where she stays.
Where she stays and he leaves, and she gets attacked on the streets, and a kung fu master saves her, and then she starts to learn kung fu. And then she becomes a kung fu actress, high
end kung fu.
Yeah, high end. I couldn't think of the word there. And she's in all kinds of movies, but she also still meets her husband. But in this universe, they're not married and they never had a daughter.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was multiple versions of them. Yes.
Yeah, and then just the concept of multiverse being implanted in a normal film that's not superhero like. It's its own sci-fi. I would say that's great for some people who don't know what the multiverse is. By now it's 2022. Everybody should know what the multiverse is. So, like I said, they did a great job. And again, this was a lower costing movie to make, so it really focused on its own creative style.
It was definitely very refreshing.
Yeah.
We had not seen something like this in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the break, because it seems like it's all about superhero movies right now.
Mm-hmm.
You had Morbius come out, Multiverse is coming out. It's all about superhero movies right now. The Batman's the Flash movie's coming out, the Batman came out. It's just very refreshing to have a movie that doesn't have anything to do with any of that. And live up to the hype that they didn't even give it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that pissed me off a little bit, that there was no hype on this movie, but it just delivered everything you were looking for in a movie.
Everything you wanted, you got into this film. You want a normal person with an amazing story, you got that. You wanted a person who lives some form of a struggle life, but still fighting to succeed and still having these dynamics with family where, you know, it's a disconnect, but it's a story to it. You got that. And then if you want those sci-fi effects, yeah, you got that. It's like you got everything everywhere all at once. No pun intended. But you got everything in this movie. So, like I said, I didn't know much about this movie, but I do know about the studio, A24. They
come out with really good movies.
They come out with a lot of original films.
And they have a lot coming out that look very interesting as well.
So, you guys who don't know about A24, I suggest you just keep up on their movies. Movies, phenomenal.
Yeah, you definitely need to check up on them because they're a big. I would say they can compete with the big companies.
Like what?
Like Paramount and all them.
I know they probably can compete with Paramount, but. Plus, they got good actors.
You can't really compete with Disney. But
yeah, I wasn't. I'm glad you said it.
Yeah,
you go ahead and say it.
But like Paramount, they can go up against them and produce some pretty good movies. I would say they could give Sony a little bit of run for their money too.
Sony, he's taking shots at
you. They did a lot with light. Really played a big role in this movie. The softness of the blue lights when Waymond was trying to calm Evelyn down.
In the closet, when they were showing the different dimension, the lighting. Oh, yeah, lighting range was...
I mean, and they made kind of this red going into dark, and it kept kind of going in a circle on her, and you could tell because she was like, had all this pent-up anger, and she was trying to fight to help Joy. And then, but Waymond was like, you need to calm down, so they gave him the nice light blue. It just, the lighting added a level to this movie.
Also, the father in there, so in a different universe, he's like some super general, something like that. Like
Evelyn's father in the Alphaverse is like their commander.
Yeah.
And it was just funny that I did not expect him when Joy was like trying to convince Evelyn to fall into the desire of looking at her other realities. I don't think anybody expected him to just ram her into the wall and say, and I gotta say, watching it a second time with our other friend, when she goes, "Father?" and he goes, "I'm not your father." That is the funniest scene ever.
I thought that was a good scene, and I thought that with that legendary Asian actor, and he's done a lot of voiceover work too.
He has done a lot of voiceover work.
Not to use him in the way that they used him would have been a waste. So they used him very well.
Yeah, because if they would have left him in the chair and then him not ever be seen again, that would have just been a waste.
Mm-hmm. And then again, the main actor who played Evelyn herself, I mean, in some other films, like Shang-Chi, they gave her side role. She got to star as the main character in this film.
Yeah.
And
she took the lead.
She took the lead, and she did a good job with it. Like, she showed, okay, well, you can have this actor who's, who can play a regular person, but she can also play an amazing character as well.
She showed she's a very versatile actor.
It's a mostly verse film, so she had to be versatile. So, kudos to you. You did a well job.
It's also interesting that the whole theory of why she was the right Evelyn is because she was so bad at everything that she lived the worst possible life that an Evelyn could live.
That is true. I think in this one, in the main universe she's from, her husband was filed for divorce.
Yeah, well, yeah, her husband filed for divorce. And, like, he didn't want to tell her. Like, so the one thing that I don't get is he literally was like, we need to talk. She grabbed the papers and, like, looked at him but didn't actually look at him and was more worried about the taxes. But then he got all worried, like, oh, no, we'll talk later. Like, why even bring the papers out if you're going to say, let's talk later? But, yeah, so she was the worst possible Evelyn in all the multiverses. But that's what made her the best.
Yeah, I think that's why she was chosen to, handle this whole...
Yeah, that's why she was chosen to be the one to take Joy down. Because she was just running amok in all the other multiverses.
Yeah, she was...
Now, we got to mention the scene where Waymond is trying to jump into the gymnastics universe. And to jump, he has to do the 4 paper cuts.
Oh, yeah, when he couldn't get the paper to cut.
Oh, man, it just was like fingernails on a chalkboard watching him try to cut his finger with that paper. Oh, man.
He was trying hard.
He got the last one, but he just didn't get that click off. And the auditor came in and just did that backbreaker on him.
That was... It was a lot of OMG moments in that film, too. Where it's just like, what the...
Especially when, like, Evelyn punches her as she's trying to bring the cart back. We think that she's coming to attack her, and she goes, bam! Yeah. And she's like, what are you doing? And she just has the cart. The fight scenes were actually pretty good, too, though.
The fight scenes...
When Waymond fights the security guards, it's pretty funny.
I mean, even, Well, of course, Evelyn scenes that she did... They would
especially after she entered the karate universe, and they did the very beautiful where it's like slow-mo, but she's moving in the same speed, but just destroying everybody around her. I love the way that, and we saw a lot of that in Shang-Chi. And Shang-Chi had very beautiful fight scenes.
And she was in there too.
She was in there.
She was the aunt in that movie.
Yeah, so, if y'all didn't know, she was.
So if you haven't seen Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings, I know this is Everything Everywhere All at Once review, but she was great in that movie too. So if you want to follow her work, so definitely check that out.
And in the end of this movie, it basically the premise was that nothing mattered. Like it all boiled down to is that nothing we did matter. We can do whatever we want because nothing matters.
But then you kind of seen a reconciled relationship between the daughter and
the mom. And she was able to finally convince her that nothing mattered and it's okay. And we see at the end, we see 2 universes as well. One where she did divorce, or she was talking to the auditor because they were going through with the divorce. But the other universe where the next day she shows up to the auditor with her husband, her daughter, and her dad. And then she kisses her husband because she's trying to kind of push the relationship onto the right track. Yeah,
I did see that. Let's go ahead and move in ratings.
Okay.
So we're gonna go ahead and move into ratings. I'll go first.
Okay.
So for this movie, like I said, original film. Love A24. Love the whole sci-fi-ness of it. Love the original storytelling. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It was an excellent movie, so definitely suggest you go see it. Guys, seen it.
I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. And at the end of this year, the Fan Style family is going to do a top 10 movies of the year. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is currently tied for movie of the year
Well, in his mind right now.
We
haven't been talking about that
not
officially.
Baby, Jamels, or Angels. But in my opinion.
The year ain't over yet. We still got a lot of good films coming out.
I said right now, too. It is tied with The Batman and with Sonic 2 for, in my opinion, movie of the year.
You can't do a tie with 3. I'm just saying.
I said it is in contention.
He said tied. Run that tape back.
Contention.
Run that tape back.
But 10 out of 10. Great movie. Very refreshing.
All right.
Go see it if you haven't already.
If you ain't seen it. Well, I will consider that a wrap. I'd like to thank you all for joining us on another episode of Fan Style Reviews. Again, I'm Jamel.
And I'm Frank.
And we're going to see y'all in the next one. Peace.
If you like that video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We out.